I'm Britton LaRue, and this is Moon to Moon. Moon to Moon is a space to consider, celebrate, and share the ways we come home to ourselves, anchor through change, and uncover our power. 1 month, one phase, one loving step at a time. Hello, Moon to Moon. I'm welcoming you now under this dark moon download. The moon is at the very, very, very end of Libra now. It's been a month since our new moon in Libra. And we're coming up here on the new moon in Scorpio, which for me in Central Time is 12:47 a.m. Thursday night on November 20th, which is the day of my daughter's birthday. She'll be 19. And then a couple hours after that at 3:23 a.m. Central, the Sun and Mercury will be Cazimi together in the sky. And then an hour after that, the moon will move into Sagittarius. And on that day, we have the initiation at 11 my time, noon Eastern, for the founders group of Living Emergence. And then the doors close that night, midnight Hawaii time. So 6 a.m. Eastern on the 21st for this first group. And, when I'm looking back, this was a huge lunar cycle for me because I've been deep in the promo pathway to one of the most important doorways I've ever pointed to, maybe the most. Maybe in the future I'm going to look back and say this was the most consequential door opening of my career. So I've been deep in service to this. I knew at the new moon in Libra that it was going to be very, very deep in, a commitment. This is my devotion for the next 4 weeks, serving the pathway. Many of you know how I talk about promo. Maybe you don't, but I see promo as a deeply, deeply, deeply magical time when I am in close intimacy with the spirit of the offering that I am serving and holding on the other side of the doorway. The doorway is both the doorway for you to pay and to initiate your yes into action. It's an action that moves you through a door. And now you're on the other side of the door. You're in. And you're in what all I'm talking about, all promo. The promo pathway for me is an actual pathway. I feel and see it energetically. It's a pathway, and my devotion is to be in deep attunement to the pathway, making all kinds of adjustments as I go. I serve it according to what's coming through, and then I deliver on what came through. And then as things shift, I change, I listen, and then I serve again. All the way through, I can't know at the start of a promo what's going to happen. I'm sure it's really helpful to have like all your emails and your posts planned in advance. I'm sure that would sounds really nice, but that's not how I promote. I promote deeply emergently. I can only see so far, and then I'm listening again. So I couldn't begin to imagine knowing what I would be talking about at the end of the promo pathway here at this dark moon at the beginning of the promo. That's just not how mystery works. It's an attunement, and the currency is trust. So promos are highly magical times of emergence for me, of being in a deep devotion to listening and being willing to make adjustments and adaptations quickly as new information arises. And all of it is always sending me through my own personal healing journey, which will then be part of what we're doing on the other side, because the promo also prepares me to be the person that is stewarding the thing that I'm stewarding. And that includes to be in partnership with any collaborators, anybody that's going to be supporting that offering, that is all getting like moved through in the promo window, so that when we get to the holding of the thing, it's like the creation time has, like, the intense creation time has been moved through. And now I just show up to the thing that I've built in relationship to everyone that's there. And then what happens is that the things that I create on the other side of the doorway, I create them for the people who are there. I wouldn't be creating the thing if it wasn't because those human beings are going to be there. So it's deeply reciprocal process and a human process. And so for me also, thus, the promo is about communicating to those I can't see, because I can't see who's going to say yes. I'm going to see them on the other side of the promo, the door that is the closing door, right? Like first there was the door, that's the doorway that the person goes through, you going through the door, the choice to go through the door. But then there's another door that is the doors closing, and like the initiation process around that. The end being the beginning, the end of your life before it, and now the beginning of your life with it. And my job, it feels to me, is to continue to sing the songs, to speak the words, to hold the frequency, so that those who are meant to go through the door can see the door, they can feel the door, they can sense the door, they feel called to the door, even if they don't even understand why. And they trust that on the other side of that door, there's something for me. There's something for me on the other side of that door. Even though Britain's trying to help me understand, Britain's speaking about what's going to be there, Britain's speaking about what kind of like processes I may go through, what I might be able to expect. But if you're a close listener, you also understand that when we're talking about emergence in anything that I do, we're doing emergence, and emergence is a mystery process where you are holding your dream and you are holding your trust in me in the container. And then the rest is a co-creative process that's unfolding cyclically through the cyclical revelations of the sky as you're discovering who it is that you came to meet on the other side of that doorway. You came to meet you. You came to meet an emergent form of you. And of course, you came to meet other human beings who are down for such wild adventures. And you came to meet me, someone whose voice you trust in. And you came to meet all the teachings that are available to you, the guidance, the resources that you can fill your cup on the other side of the door. So this is all prelude, by the way. I'm pretty much no script on this one. It's mostly cards and a few words on a piece of paper that I've got in front of me. And the theme that feels present for this Dark Moon download is I am the ferryman. Did I say that yet? I am the ferryman. So, if you're new to Dark Moon downloads, for me, every lunar cycle is an emergent process. And, I'm not going to a destination of like some me who's better than the me now anymore. That's an old relationship to time that I no longer play with. What I do is cycle to cycle, moon to moon. I am with the evidence of my life, and I allow all the things that came up in the 4-month span of a lunar cycle to reveal to me what is emerging in my life. And so that at the end of the lunar cycle, which is also called a dark moon, because we can't see the moon at this time, it's right before a new moon. So the moon is so close to the sun, it's not visible. But it's still waning. It's not waxing yet. So it's on the waning side. And in this time, we are ripe with wisdom. We are full, pregnant with all these experiences, all this data that's showing us information about what is emerging so that we can see it and really be with the presence of it all. And it feels so good to be with the wisdom. So in the moment I'm recording this, Mercury is retrograde, moving towards Cazimi with the sun, which is when the sun and Mercury come together in the sky, which is a really powerful window of time when we can receive a lot of clarity. And I usually find that in the days leading up to Cazimi, there's just so much to come through because it's technically the very end of the Mercury cycle that you've been in. You've been in this Mercury cycle since when Mercury was retrograde and came to the sun in the last Mercury retrograde, which was in Leo, which was in August. So we have these Mercury cycles that happen three times a year. And they begin when Mercury's retrograde, Cazimi with the sun. So we're also at the end of a Mercury cycle as well right now. And usually, right before Mercury stations retrograde and that time, the week around that retrograde station can feel very hard to have clarity. Like it's very difficult to feel clear in that time because everything's getting rearranged. But we're starting to come into that clarity time where it's unfolding. The retrograde cycle itself, like if we're not looking at the whole Mercury cycle and we're just looking at the retrograde, yeah, we still have some more information to come up from the retrograde. But technically, everything on the other side of Cazimi, you would call the beginning of your next Mercury cycle. You can kind of play with it different ways. In my world, I like to be both very scientific and a data person with what comes up. Meaning I don't like to make claims about what things mean until I have more data. This allows me to stay objective with the shit that comes up in my life. Where previously I used to feel like if I looked at it, I was going to have to do something with it and find more problems with my life. This allows me to be able to look at the data because I know I don't actually have to act on it yet. So I'm very data oriented while I'm also very gnosis oriented, which gnosis, Gnosis, means wisdom. So your personal gnosis is what you are knowing at any given time. You just have a knowing. That's your gnosis. And so that is not super verifiable. My gnosis, I share with you. I share with my students. I share with my one-on-one clients. I love sharing my gnosis. And take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Because it's my gnosis. I encourage you to get your own data around things and come into your own gnosis, which is what I teach. So, I am the ferryman. What's that? So, last lunar cycle, when I was first announcing Living Emergence, and this lunar cycle where I've been in deep devotion to the promo, that has been in my new moon spread. I use the same 11 card spread. I do it at the new moon. I try to do as close as possible to the time. And then I leave those cards around my altar the entire lunar cycle, and they're talking to me every day. What I'm understanding about them is changing every day because evidence in my life is showing me what they mean. And in the position that's the public me, me out in the world, what am I showing up like? Both times I've had the Six of Swords for that position. And it's in the Six of Swords, many decks show a boat that's on a body of water. And there's a ferryman of the boat, sometimes carrying other people, driving the boat to a shore that you can't quite see. You don't really know exactly where we're going, but we're moving. And it often has a suggestion of being a refugee or being somehow moving from a less ideal situation into something that we are hoping emergently is going to be so much better for us, but we can't see it yet. We can't see it yet. It's on the other side of the door, other side of the shore. In my time as a person who creates offerings that people invest in for themselves to find out who they will become on the other side of those investments, which is now consolidated into one single doorway, Living Emergence. In my time as holding this role, I have regularly pulled the Six of Swords when I asked, like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Job description. What's my job description? I'm the ferryman. I'm the ferryman. And what it feels like is that I sing, I create words, I create a feeling with the incense that I burn. The scent makes sense to those it's for. Suprasensory Shahir told me that. Those words, your scent, S-E-E-N-T, will make sense, S-E-N-S-E-S, to those it's for. And so my job is really to be with the scent of the thing so I can be clear to those that it's for. So my role these years has seemed to be that I basically like offer a boat, you know? Like I offer a boat. The doorway is a boat. And I'm taking you to an unknown shore. The unknown shore of yourself. The unknown shore of the you that's participating on the other side of this experience through the doorway. And mystery is a huge part of what I'm told happens here, because most humans feel that they received maybe not exactly what they thought, but they got what they needed. There was kind of like this deep medicine experience that there may have been like an inner battle around like, I thought the medicine was going to look like this, you know, or like, I thought I was going to look like this on the other side. But rather I'm saying just trust the boat, you know, like trust this process. Would you rather be certain or would you rather be amazed? And it's those like periods of intensity with the certainty piece around like, but I want it to be like this, or I only want to see the me that looks like this. You know, when we're in a battle around that is when my spaces can sometimes feel activating. The good thing that my boat is fun. Good thing my boat has really great music playing, really like fun people to hang out with. Like, oh my God, I didn't know that I could enjoy conversation this much. Good thing we're like learning all kinds of cool things. We're growing all these skill sets that now you can take with you for the rest of your life doing this and doing that. We're like reconfiguring your habits, reconfiguring how you show up in a day, reconfiguring how you look at reality, reconfiguring what you think is possible in your future, reconfiguring what you think is possible for this world that we live in together on planet Earth. And so this boat is a reconfiguring technology. It's a place to land while you are reconfiguring according to the medicine that's yours. Because part of how I can't promise you what it's going to look like is because I am not interested in being a controller of your emergence, you know? I'm not interested in depriving you of the magic of the recognition of yourself on the other side. Because this is a remembering. And that does not have anything to do with me. My job is to take care of the boat, you know? My job is to help you see the doorway to get on it, you know? And to trust it. Because we are in passage. We are in passage together for as long as you need now in Living Emergence. Now I have a space that you can come in any point in the circle when the doors are open. and stay for as long as it's nourishing you, as long as the libations are flowing, as long as it's enchanting your world, as long as it's amplifying your understanding of your magical self and your connection to all of magic everywhere, which is the animated life and the animated being that is our planet. So, I'm the Ferryman. And the Ferryman has a lot of associations with the underworld. We think about the underworld in many traditions. There's a kind of ferryman to take you there. And there's a coin, there is a coin involved in this transfer, in this passage. There's a coin involved. That coin, your investment in the space, your commitment to the space, is the currency. What's it made of? It's made of your trust. It's made of your trust that you don't know exactly where we're going, but that you trust in this container. You trust in the emergence process. You trust in me as a guide. You trust in the kinds of people that I magnetize, who are people like you. That there's a common spirit. There's a common spirit between us. That is the force that's constellating this. And that is not a small number. Turns out, we can create huge movements with a common spirit. So this is a spirit that exists in many, 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 many human beings. And the more there are in a space like Living Emergence, the more powerful it feels, because you sense how impactful it is to have this number of people making waves through the collective with the frequencies that they're now emitting, having drunk from the fountain of this space. So I'm bringing in another 6 here, and it is the 6 of Cups, which I've shared in episodes past. There's a deck called like the Somnia Tarot that has these women with buckets at a well for the 6 of Cups. You might be able to hear, I have this like wick kind of making a lot of noise with the fire right now. Wow. The 6 of Cups. Yeah. So years ago, an incredible tarot reader from my community, a multi-time TMT alum, Magician's Table, which is a spring intensive that I'm still keeping on the docket. So it's one of very few doorways to come into my world now. Mallory did this reading for me where the 6 of Cups came in as a message from my guides, and she became very weepy, feeling the emotions that were coming through from my guides. And it seemed really important that I understand that there's something about wells and 6 of Cups as being part of my containers, and what I'm doing is also 6 of Cups. I've been told since 2021 from students that I'm a fountain. I'm a fountain. I give and I give and I give of this fountain. And now in Living Emergence, it is just a fountain. There's a fountain of resources for you to nourish yourself and build up your strength. Build up your self-trust. build up your right to give yourself permission to be the you on the other side of these shores who is doing audacious things for yourself and for this world. Because make no mistake, what I am very interested in is supporting these beautiful, beautiful, spectacularly bright, beautiful, wise human beings in trusting in their capacity to be creators for this world. I want these humans trusting in themselves and in this world enough that they can put themselves out there, participate, make, show up more loudly, more clear, more magnificently in their unique creativity so that the world can feel them, can exchange with them, can witness them, can know their names. The Living Emergence is a space for you to both recover from the world that you were handed and have enough space and have a community of support to begin dreaming louder and louder and louder the reality that you want now and make it so. So that's like a piece that is like the part of my containers. There's always an internal transformation, and then there's the external transformation. And you can't rush the external transformation when the internal, it has a lot of movement it wants to have move around. We need sacred pacing for internal transformation so that the external things just start to happen easily. They're happening easily as a result and as a consequence of all of what's been given attention to in the inner world. And this is the entire thesis of my 30, 40, 50 hour long self-paced course, Moon to Moon, inside of Living Emergence. That's there for you to dive in. It's like every 30-minute lesson, because nothing's more than 30 minutes in there, is gold for this deep, deep, deep process of inner transformation to support anything that you want to bring into the externalized realm. Would you believe me if I told you that this is all still prelude? I really I'm just really feeling the lay it down on the I am the ferryman because this is some deep stuff. And now I'm just suddenly connecting it to a fireside song we used to sing at camp. And then my daughters go to the same camp. They've been there both over a decade, summer to summer, learning the Swedish language in an immersion environment in a rustic camp on a lake in the woods, northern Minnesota. And I used to teach at the French camp too. And they used to sing this same song. They made it about the old Canadian trappers and canoeing down the rivers. But when we would sing it at Swedish camp, we would sing it as our ancestors, the Vikings, water people. And so it's feeling like maybe I'll sing a little here. It's two parts. You see, you can't sing it alone. So I'm going to teach you the parts and then we'll sing together. So the one part is the bass part. It says, E-O, E-O. That's all it is. E-O. 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 Are you singing with me? E-O. E-O. The other side goes. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. And that's where you'd switch. E-O. 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 La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Okay, so we're going to bring it together. You start with the EOs, and then we'll switch. 5, 6, 7, and 8. La la la. You're doing E-O, okay? La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Switch. E-O. 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 And now we all E-O. 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 And when my girls were little, I would take it down even further because they were going to sleep. I would just tiptoe out of the room. There you have it. That's our fairy song. That's a ferryman song. I now see. I was ferrymanning my children to sleep. And when I was a little girl, and we would do that by the fire at camp, it was so magical. I wanted to live inside that song forever. So the song that I sing now is most especially the song of the zodiac. This is the song that I sing, and I'll be singing at the start of every sign in Living Emergence, inviting the whole community into the spirit of the song. Each one is very different. Each invitation is an activation. It is a rat-tat-tat on the window of a different part of you, a different facet of your being, a different dream of your spirit. You are all 12 signs. And with each sign season, we will be with the song of the sign. And I will speak to the intelligence of the sign, which is an unshaming of the signs, which is an unshaming of you, restoring us to the cyclicality of time and revelation, restoring us to the truth of our goodness, restoring us to our deep interconnectivity and to the importance, the deep intelligence of sovereignty for your individuation. Your individuation is the particular song that you bring to the collectivity. So it's a loop. You see, the signs will bring us to one another and the truth of our unity and the one being of us all. And it will also restore us to the truth of our uniqueness, our participation here. That will look different for each of us. It's important that we understand that. So this is why we'll practice not matching in this space. Just being as we are when we come together inside of a frequency that invites that. So you see the sign transmissions are the essential piece of Living Emergence. It's a collective call and it's also a personal one. And then we live into the activations from that call. Because as you step out in the world more fully inside of the, say, Sagittarius part of yourself, you will meet the places inside of you that are concerned that it's not safe for you to do that. That is what will happen, in fact, because all expansion invites contraction. That's what rebirthing is. And so we will celebrate these moments where we bump into these limits. These limits are limits of trust. That's okay, we all have them. No big deal. It's not a problem. We can name it in community and then resource ourselves for the alchemy to happen. Where shame used to take you back to the same place, always a return to the past. This alchemy I'm speaking to is present time alchemy. So that what emerges on the other side of that alchemy is something new, greeting you in the future, month to month, sign by sign, over the course of the whole year, because Living Emergence wants to be a circle. This is the intelligence. This is the intelligence of the circle, so that you can experience this through all 12 signs. This is the intelligence. Whew. Yeah. So this process of holding the awareness of our lack of trust is what the unshaming is for, because the 3 consequences of shame are lack of self-trust, like lacking trust, compulsion to fix yourself, and believing that you don't have permission to protect yourself and set boundaries, to live bravely and take risks. So the resources in this space then are about activating your understanding of the resources of unshaming, so that you can repair self-trust, which is not a destination. Like, it's a cyclical reveal. It's a cyclical emergent process. There is no land out in the future where you have 100% self-trust and it's just repaired. It's emergent. Then, and I also teach that self-trust is part of an infinity loop. It's part of a polarity. I'm obsessed with polarities. The other side of the infinity loop is self-doubt. We all have it. It's part of being a mystical person. It's part of being a human being. Self-doubt. Oh, it's here. No big deal. We're just we're on the infinity loop. And we're like circling back over to self-trust. We got to know that it's okay to have self-doubt. And we're deeply rejoicing in the fact that this Living Emergence is not a space where we are fixing ourselves. We're not working on ourselves. We're not improving ourselves. No, we are investing in ourselves. We are celebrating ourselves, but mostly we are attuning. We are attuning. Attunement, a thing that maybe you never experienced as a child. Because what we have in our culture is a lack of attunement. See podcast Self-Trust is a Miracle or Self-Trust is Miraculous. I think that was like a Dark Moon download in July-ish. And then in this space, I am helping you become a person who gives yourself permission. And this is a piece that I've been talking about, the whole promo pathway. Oh, have I finished the prelude? What if this is just like 3 preludes? Okay. The promo pathway is where we started. Okay. We're coming back. At the start of this promo pathway, I realized that what I wanted to make for the promo pathway was a new teaching, a free mini series called the Nine Boredoms of the Rightful Baddie. The Nine Boredoms of the Rightful Baddie. The idea for that came through like a day or two before the new moon, in fairness, just to be totally clear. But I really, like, I took the information of my new moon as like, oh, this is going to be the Nine Boredoms. This is what we're doing. This is the promo pathway. And I completely threw myself into that Nine Boredoms. Oh my God. That was all building up to the full moon. That was the first half of the cycle for me. It was like a deep, 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 deep devotion to the Nine Boredoms of the Rightful Baddie. In the second side of the other side of the full moon, so after the doors opened and we got people in the door, you know, and at this point I have 230 in the Nine Boredoms of the Rightful Baddie, which is, I think, one of the most anyone's ever signed up for a free offer I've done. So cool. You should know that it's only going to be open and free to the public through November 20th. And then it's completely moving inside to the resource library of Living Emergence to be a resource for people in Living Emergence. And right now I have 77 in Living Emergence. And these are the last few days. You know, these are the last few days that you can come in as a founder. And I don't know when I'm opening the doors again. And when I do open the doors, the founding price is going to be gone. So the benefit of coming in now is beginning this magic immediately. Like, get on the boat. I am the ferryman. If this is calling you, what are you waiting for? Like, hand me the coin, which is the currency of trust. Let's go. The Sag transmission is coming out. Our first one on Saturday, and to me, and we're initiating on Thursday. So between those two things, to me, like, we are officially off and running. The benefit of joining now is the magic begins right away with Sagittarius for you. And of course, you get the price difference between the rate it's currently at and the rate it will be in the future. So when you join, you lock in your rate. And then you can leave at any time. It's the four things of the financial agreement are whatever your first rate is the rate that's locked in. 2, you can cancel at any time. 3, no refunds. 4, you can always come back, but you come in when the doors are open and whatever the published price is at that time. So you will save $10 a month if you do monthly and come in at the founders, or you're saving $100 if you go ahead and put in the currency of trust to all 12 signs by paying in full. And then that's locked in if you wanted to stay for a year too, because most people who come into my community, they stay for years, you know, and moving through my different spaces, which is now just Living Emergence or the Magician's Table, which is just a spring 3-month intensive, or the 3-year Emergence Astrology program. So you can do all of them, but I used to have lots of doorways, and now it's just those 3. Basically, everything's in Living Emergence unless you want those very specific programs, but you can also do them both, and you'll get financial support if you want to do both. Like, there's price breaks for doing multiple doorways. All right, so I did want to speak a little bit more about, let me see how we're doing on time. I don't think I set an intention with myself around time. Yeah, I'm good. So the Nine Boredoms of the Rightful Baddie. I really want to speak to this a little bit more here because this is what came through. You know what I was saying earlier about when I'm in the devotional business of creating in a promo, I am building out the energetics of the space. And let me tell you something you already know, which is the reason you would choose one person's class over another. The reason you go to anybody's container is because you're resonating with their energy. It's really not even about the information, like the actual information. Now, my actual information is amazing, and I'm sure my students would very quickly come in and say, Britton, we love your information. That's a huge part of why we said yes. Okay, I know. Thank you. I love my information too. But so much of what we're like the reason we trust, when you're joining a transformational container, that is so different than like, teach me how to build a website, or even like, teach me how to build a funnel for my marketing. Like those are skills that you're going to have at the end what they promise you. In a transformational container, in an emergence container, there's like alchemy happening. Like you're coming in one way and changing. And in order for alchemy to happen, you have to have trust. If you don't trust me to be holding a container that's going to alchemize you, then the alchemy won't work. I mean, that would never happen because no one would. My prices are set so like you're serious if you come, like that can happen if prices are really, really low. Some like with free things, sometimes the alchemy doesn't really happen because there wasn't enough trust in the equation for the alchemy to be very potent. So the money, the coin needs to be a match to like this is some serious trust, This is some serious trust because it's that trust that creates the leap in the alchemy. And I'll say it again, that if you can afford to pay in full for things, I recommend it because you're going into a bigger leap trust-wise. You're going into a way big leap because it's just like, fuck it, I'm doing it, and it's like, it just like sends you on this huge leap. So for my personal self, I almost always pay in full because I just want to show myself how serious I am at a trust level. But of course, sometimes you don't know if you trust it. And it just feels like the most discerning thing to do, to pay monthly. And I totally get that. So I leave it to you, as I do in all things regarding your emergence. So I was really into the Nine Boredoms of the Rightful Baddie. And I want to share some about how important this is to the last piece of unshaming, which is giving yourself permission. See, I'm getting us back to the main line. I mentor a lot of people, I see a lot of human beings who want to come talk to me about what's up for them. They like my attunement. You may be one of these people. I am very good at giving my full attunement to someone in front of me. And again and again and again, so much of what I see with those that I support is something that I've struggled with myself, which is learning that I can give myself permission. I can give myself permission to want what I want. I can give myself permission to be messy, to take risks, to fumble, to change my mind. to name that I was wrong, to be a person who's learning, to be a person who is listening and is going to change as I go. Giving yourself permission to be bigger, to be louder, to be shinier, to say what's on your heart. Giving yourself permission, and it's not because so many of us are wanting to be right. We want to be correct, which is another way of saying we want to feel safe from being accused of being wrong, from that feeling of like, I fucked up, didn't I? From being seen as imperfect. And so the piece around permission is just so big. It's so big. It's so big. And I'm very interested in it because this is where audacity is. And many people have told me, without me knowing that that's what I was doing, that they thank me for my audacity. I started to hear this enough times. I was like, I think audacity might be one of my main words. And then, of course, it became so central to unshaming, because it takes a lot of audacity to unshame. It takes a lot of audacity to hold to what we know is the intelligence of a way that we are, even in the face of other people not getting us, misunderstanding us, blaming us, distorting things through their own projections, which we know that they have, and just going ahead and letting all that happen so that we can live according to the truth that we know is wanting to live through us in this moment. Like, that is what audacity looks and feels like these days. Like our bar for audacity is like pretty sad. Why? I mean, because of the intensity of shame in our culture. And it's deeply colonial. And it's deeply tied to religious rhetoric. So we have honest reasons for being the way that we are. But I'm not super interested in spending a lot of time wondering about that as much as let's just get to the business of bringing through more audacity. Let's get to the business of unshaming. We can all keep an eye on what we know is like the source, and knowing what the source is not going to change anything. So if we're interested in change, which is what magic is, that is what magic is. If we're interested in change, then what's the next step, right? And a lot of that, like that is where I teach. That is what we're doing in my spaces. That's what we're doing in Living Emergence. Is like, just because I know that it's this because I experienced this growing up, or this because of our overculture. How do I move forward with change? That's what we're doing in my spaces. Deeply, 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 deeply held by basically like the songs that I'm singing. So that's when mystery becomes really, really important. All right, so the 9 boredoms of the Rightful Baddie are basically like 9. It's all about 9 forms of permission. And these are the 9 forms of permission that were deeply inspired by the story of Vasilisa. This is from a Slavic fairy tale. Vasilisa the Wise, who has this adventure where she meets a witch in the woods named Baba Yaga. And this experience of leaving behind what she knew, following her intuition in the dark, going into the unknown, leaving the home door of the normal, leaving the way it had been, leaving the way it is, and moving into the dark, into the woods, to meet the wild hag and get some wild hag wisdom. That process alchemizes Vasilisa deeply. And so that when she returns, she has these new powers. And these are powers that come from her, like, her deeply, deeply, deeply confronting the distortions, the confusions that were set upon her by overculture, basically, and from family onward, just allowing the Baba Yaga wisdom, which is like this deep old hag crone wisdom, which is deep dark moon wisdom, deep, deep, deep stuff. Pulsing life force. This deep wisdom allows her to come back like anew. She couldn't have known who she was going to be when she left that house. And she went into the woods. And she found this hut in the woods with chicken feet dancing around this hut in the air. Magic is everywhere. Wild and weird as fuck. So mysterious. So strange. So uncanny. What a liminal place. So odd. This cackling old bone woman giving her jobs, not treating her like she's precious, empowering her to learn, you know? She comes out of there carrying a fiery skull to help her see now. So that she can walk into the world and create from the fiery skull place that is her inheritance from her ancestors who she met from being with Baba Yaga, which is the cosmos, and it is the stars, and it is the night sky. So Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes in Women Who Run with the Wolves, she tells the story and she talks about the 9 tasks of Vasilisa. And this is a story that I have in Moon to Moon, the course that's inside of Living Emergence, because the whole class is basically a gift from my heart to Baba Yaga that I then give to you. And the thesis is that when you tend to the high priestess inside of you, your inner, and when you attune to yourself deeply, and you attune to the mysteries and to your own gnosis, you emerge in the public sphere as Queen of Wands, because that's the blaze of the fiery skull. And that's what a baddie looks like. But had that person become a baddie, it's like behind every baddie is an underworld journey, is a wild hag journey, is like an experience, passage to clear distortions, to remember who the fuck you are. And the 9 boredoms of the Rightful Baddie to me are it's tracing the arc of each of these tasks described in the book, Women Who Run with the Wolves. And as I said, I do an at-length discussion of this inside Moon to Moon, whereby it feels true to me that we eventually just get really bored with what the overcultural presentation of various topics are about us and about reality. And we start to be just bored with it. And what happens is then now we are liberated from this illusion that we're told to believe in. And it's like, wait, I'm sorry. No, I'm unhooking. Thanks. Liberation. The liberation move of the Rightful Baddie. And so each of the 9 boredoms that I do in this class, this mini series that is going to now be moving from being a free gift to being inside of Living Emergence, starting Friday, November 21st, it will no longer be available for free. I talk about these 9 different liberation moves, and all of them are about giving yourself permission. That all really comes down to being the one who gives yourself permission. But if it was easy, we wouldn't need words like baddie, If we could all just do it just because we know it, you can't just think your way into embodiment. You have to live your way into embodiment. And the way I feel is we all have the baddie frequency, in the sense like the brightness and the beauty of our solar self is going to be bright and fearsome. But the sun is malefic. And learning to hold the fact that our sun is not for everyone is part of the journey. So in the 9 boredoms, I talk a lot about grief, because in order to give yourself permission, you're gonna, for each of the 9, want to move through grief. The grief of the child, you see, the grief of your own child inside, who is disappointed that the world was showing itself to be the way it was showing itself to be. It was easier to accept this illusion of reality to fit in than it was to feel the grief in how things are. So now in present time, we are grown-ups, So if we're going to be talking Baba Yaga, this is a hag story. It's a story about growing up. We grow up inside this part of us that can look at it in the face and say, I am bored with you. Consensus reality. I'm doing my own thing. The liberation move, giving yourself permission to unsubscribe and create your own world. So it ultimately is a story about like how we become creative people. Like, what is creativity? A lot of it has to do with having a vision about the world that you want to see and making it anyway, even if it's not what people tells you the world is. And everything I've ever done in my work is growing from that place, because I reached a certain age of my life where I was just bored. And I was so tired of waiting for permission. I was tired of believing like worldviews that just lack so much imagination. They're not impressive. And so my whole career has just been dreaming my delusional dreams and making things from them, inviting people to come in for the journey. I am the ferryman. I make delusional spaces for your delusional dreams to have a chance to be heard, seen, felt, enough that they start to become valid to you, they get bigger, they get bigger, they get bigger. They get bigger because you're giving them your attention, which is what your dreams want from you. And in this process, we are so cared for because the zodiac is looking at us, you know? When we sing the songs of the signs for a year and every year, the circle of animals is all around us. They're helping us see these parts of ourselves, helping us tune into these parts of ourselves that want our attention. They want to be seen by us. They want our love. They want us to acknowledge that we are part of this. And what will we create from these places? That's the dream of Living Emergence for me, is what will we each create from being in this together? I'm creating it because you're coming. I can't wait to see what comes through me. I don't have any idea what's going to happen. It's going to be emergent. What kinds of classes, what kinds of ideas are going to come through me because the space is here and you're there with me. And then what's going to come through you? What is going to come through you for yourself and for our worlds? This is very exciting. It's a very exciting thing to be holding a space where we are dreaming this into now. It's just moving through us like musical waves. These waves, that's the water. I am the ferryman. So, my loves, those of you that are meant to be with us for the founding tier, the founding group, you get to say you were part of the founding group. You're the fools of the fools. The foolsiest ones. The foolsiest ones are invited to come in through November 20th. And then if you come in after that, you're still a fool. I have a whole curriculum for you. It's called The Fool's Pathway. It's a brand new curriculum I'm inventing inside of Living Emergence. You just won't be one of the founders, and that's okay. Very excited. Very excited. After like this coming through, I did not expect this to come through the way it did. So that's really getting me so excited for Thursday and for Saturday, the initiation and the Sag transmission respectively. I have no idea what's going to happen at this moment, but everything's constellating together to show me what will right on time. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that this has been supportive to you. And if you are feeling like you really want to get in on the Nine Boredoms, you can get it for free through Thursday the 20th through the link in my show notes. And then if you are really like vibing it and want to join Living Emergence, that's the same deadline. So November 21st, the Nine Boredoms will move into Living Emergence only for members. And I hope to see you there. If not, I'm still wishing you a really beautiful new moon in Scorpio. This is such a big one. My goodness, this is a big one. It reminds me a lot of my daughter's chart. She was born at the new moon in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter, and she has Mercury in Scorpio and Mars in Scorpio. So it was just like this really strong scorpionic moment. And she's a wildly creative human being. Just one of the most creative people I've ever known. Top. So I'm very excited for all of us for what we dream into being on this November 20th. Happy birthday to my daughter. I'm so excited. She has this astrology in her solar year chart, solar return chart. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm closing.